Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. You know what? I totally forgot to turn on the record function. Give me just 1 second. Because, of course I forget that. I think I forget that about 50% of the time. Welcome to the stream, Mahalo and Corwin. Thank you so much. Finally, Ray 30. I mean, time goes and sometimes it goes slowly and sometimes it goes speedy. Yes, good stream again. Hello. Welcome. You guys are here early today, so you get to hear all of my, I guess, what am I going to call it? I always call it housekeeping. Yes, we are going to do a little bit of housekeeping today. So today I really wanted to highlight this week's propane sponsor. This week's propane sponsor is my favorite sponsor of all the sponsors because today's propane sponsor is the community at large. You guys have watched and subscribed and gifted subs and gifted bits to the point where you guys have supported this week's propane tank, all of you. So I definitely want to thank you all for your contributions, monetary and just being here and watching and enjoying the stream. So thank you all so much for supporting me, and your combined support has been able to support the propane this week. Also a second week this month. So we will be doing another one where it's community supported in the future in the next couple of weeks. So thank you all so much. Yes, happy to feed propane addiction. I do have a major propane addiction. Okay, so we've got an ad starting in about 3, not this many minutes, 3. So I'm gonna try and wrap this up just a little bit. So right now we have the axe already in the forge, where I'm hoping that allows it to heat up faster and we can get started. Today will be the last day on the axe. We are so close to being done. There's even a chance that we'll finish before the stream is over. So I'm super excited about that. One note, when I say finished, I mean finished forging. We are not going to do any tempering. We are not going to be doing any hardening here on stream today. I will be doing that off stream probably in one of the weekends in the next coming weeks. And I will video as much of that as you guys would like to see. I can do the full thing if you'd like. Otherwise, I can just do it and show you the finished axe after it's been handled. But yes, the plan is to finish forging today, and so Friday's stream we will be doing hairpins. So I believe we will probably get 1 hairpin done on Friday. And then on Monday, we will be starting our new major project, which will be the forming stake. If you're interested in seeing what that might look like, there is a picture of one or a design for a raising stake in the project suggestion tab of the Discord. You can find the Discord on the channel page or in the description on the YouTube channel. Welcome in, Yankee. Welcome to the stream. Hello. Let's see. What other things that I was going to talk about? I actually bought propane today. I mean, I already told you who the propane sponsor was today, but I actually bought propane, which I should have bought that on Monday, and I forgot to do that. So I did that earlier today, and so we are set. We will be able to have propane when this one freezes up. So we'll have a fresh propane tank in about probably halfway through the stream-ish. today, I guess, well, not today, this week, my TikTok has kind of been blowing up a little bit. We've got a video that I don't necessarily know that I think that it's a viral video per se, but it has 21,000 views on it, which is absolutely incredible. I thought that we were a long way off from videos with that type of view count. So thank you all to those of you who are watching my TikTok videos and helping them go mini viral. Maybe that's the term, I don't know. So today's video on YouTube, the long form video, I always put out a edited long form video on YouTube on Wednesdays. So today's video is an interview that I did at Quad State with Ed and Brian Brazil. They are excellent blacksmiths, and they are, I will talk about them after the ad is over, because the ad just started. So I brought out a set of tongs that you guys have like never actually seen in action before, because this is the first time I've ever used them. So we had been using my pickup tongs, like the big fat ones, when we were working on the blade of our axe. Well, now I have to pick up the axe by the blade because we're going to be working on the base of it, trying to expand the hole and for the handle. And so I'm going to use these tongs. These tongs are a set of tongs that I screwed up. They were originally designed so that I could pick up little pieces or little cubes of steel. I wanted to make RPG dice for Christmas presents one year, and so I made these guys with the intention of having like the ability to kind of clamp them in and just use them to hammer on each face. And they did not work out so hot for that purpose. But maybe they'll work out for this axe. They've been working pretty well so far. So back to this week's video, the long form video up on YouTube. Like I said before, it is a interview that I had with Brian and Ed Brazil. They are famous for teaching Alex Steel hammer making techniques and tools to make tools. Their lovely system there. They make very, very efficient and beautiful tools to help blacksmiths become more efficient. So we talked a little bit about the history of how they kind of developed their techniques and why they were farriers to begin with, and they talked a little bit about that and why that kind of inspired some of their hammer designs. So that is up. It's been posted up on YouTube, so I would love it if you go watch it. Let's see. I think that's about all of the stuff that I wanted to talk to you, like the housekeeping stuff. So let's take a look at our steel. It's a nice orange color, but it is not quite the bright orange that I want to see, so it's going to take us a little bit longer. So yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm hoping to have a really good time today, and I hope you guys do too. So let's see. Yesterday, I spent all day editing and picking tracks for my videos. I put music tracks in the background of all of my videos for YouTube, like all of my edited ones at least. Not my shorts and not my long or like my raw streams, because I don't want to get copyright dinged for like playlists and things like that. But we do put royalty-free tracks on the back of all of our edited content. And so that was interesting. It's always interesting looking and finding different pieces of music. So I tend to do a little bit of a country twang, like very guitar heavy songs for some of our more traditional ideas. And then here when I'm like just learning and doing my thing, I have a tendency to use more EDM or techno tracks because I really like them. So it's always interesting though, because right now, as far as my stock music selection, I'm using YouTube actually has its own stock track catalog, and it can be a bit limiting, but you know, it's what I got to use. So it takes a little bit of time sometimes to find good tracks, and I have a tendency to repeat them. So I don't know. I did a lot of culling and editing on next week's piece. That one is going to be on our grill fork. So I've got a nice edited, short, little 5-minute video on how we made that grill fork. So I'm hoping that you guys will like that one next week as well. And what else have I been doing? I don't really know. I mean, besides streaming and editing, that's pretty much my life. I play a few video games here and there. Let's see. I've been playing a World of Warcraft, the Legion remix. So that's been pretty fun. So there is a WoW expansion. It's called Legion, and so there's a whole bunch of like demons and stuff like that as the enemies, and so they call it remix because they allow you to get like super powerful, like almost invincible over time, and the leveling is super fast, and yeah, they give you extra power so that you don't have to like just use the power that's innate into the class. And so it plays a lot different than retail or even classic. So I've been having quite a lot of fun with that. They also have like a hard mode on their world, so you can kind of turn on the hard mode, and then all of the enemies have special abilities and stuff, and they have more health, and it makes it difficult, but it also makes it fun. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately. And testing the van, making sure that we get everything in the van and like oriented the way we need it to, so that we can use that to go and travel around to the different blacksmithing conventions and meetups. So yeah. Let's do our first heat. Hopefully these tongs work pretty darn well. I'll put these here for now. We're going to continue working on these sides. Kind of evening them out a bit. Shaping the cheeks. That worked pretty well. And I also really want to focus on getting rid of that pilot hole that we have there. When I drilled the hole in there, it kind of, or when I used the drift, it didn't quite stretch as much as I wanted it to. So I really need to focus in on that, because that's going to destroy the handle. So that's the majority of what we're going to be doing today. Who would have thought an axle would make a nice axe like that? Yeah, I think it looks pretty darn nice. But axles are often made out of 4140, which is a mid-carbon steel. It allows a little bit of flex and a little bit of bounce. It's the same steel that most people will make their hammers out of. The hammers, they have a nice bounce to, like I said already, and they have a nice bounce to them, and that allows the return to be a little bit easier, and it kind of gives it a little bit of shock absorbency. So you want to maintain the ability, or you don't want to crack your axe head as you are using it for splitting. So I figured 4140 would be a good steel to use. So that's why when we made this axe, I went out of my way to buy some 4140, just so that it would be a good tool to work with. Evening Sandwich, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. So like I said, we are going to be continuing to clean this up. It should have been pretty obvious. You just need to remove the L. Something like that. Yep. Removing the L to make an axe, because, you know, from an axle to an axe. I wish it was that quick though, you know. I feel like hitting the delete key and getting rid of the L takes a lot less time than making the axe from the axle. So I'm actually super excited about Friday's project, which is going to be the hairpin. G'day, Lexi. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're going to be doing a hairpin. I have seen so many hairpins online, like videos of people making them recently. And it's just, I love that about blacksmithing and blacksmithing videos. You can just like see a whole bunch of videos of the same project, and then you can put your own spin on it and then put that out into the ether. And it's like a conversation, you know? I post my video, someone else posts their video, you know, and then people like comment about theirs, showing pictures and things like that. It's just, I love the conversation in the community as far, or like within the blacksmithing community as a whole, because it's just, everything builds and everything encourages one another to just keep on keeping on, you know? I thought it was easy. Are you having some issues extracting the L? I am having some issues extracting the L. I think it's buried pretty darn deep inside of the steel. So I've got to, you know, open up the handle hole a little bit more to find it, I think. Although, I don't know, it does pretty well look like an axe right now. So maybe I have already extracted the L, and now I'm just trying to make it pretty. Pretty. How have you been? I've been pretty darn good. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time just editing stuff and getting things ready to show to you guys, and, you know, as a content creator and stuff, and kind of learning how to do it a little bit. It was looking very axe-like last time. Yeah, like I said, it looks like an axe already, and I could just like grind all of this down, and, you know, it would be a functional axe. I just want to reduce a little bit of the grinding. So inside the axe, like the hole that I'm gonna put the handle in, there are some really sharp corners in there, and I just don't want it to crack and render the handle useless after every hit. So I really want to make sure that we focus in on that handle hole, and those cheeks is what a lot of people will call the sides of where the handle goes on a hammer. So I'm going to call them cheeks for this axe as well. So like I said, we are so close, and like I said, we're just cleaning things up. We will be finished today, at least finished forging. Like I said earlier, We are not going to be doing any hardening, and we're not going to be doing any tempering today. I just need a little bit of extra. I mean, a lot of the hardening is just, you know, raising it up to temperature and quenching it in the oil, and then, you know, I will probably be using a little bit of the kiln to get the correct temperature and things like that. So I'm not quite going to be doing that part today, but this weekend probably. Greetings, Ping. You're on a road trip. Ooh, I hope you have fun on your road trip. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome as long as you're able to be around. Are you going anywhere fun? We've been going on North Carolina. Yeah. We've been going to several road trips this year. You know, we went to the BAM conference. We went to the Indiana conference. We went to Quad State. You know, we've got plenty of more that we can do next year. So I'm really looking forward to doing our own road trips. I keep hearing like a squeaking sound. I don't know. Maybe it's like birds. Just weird. I don't know. Maybe it's probably something out there. They were mowing the field out on the side for a while. Who does more of the driving between me and the butler? Usually the butler does the majority of the driving. And the reason for that is I have a bad back. And so you can often see me like shifting around and like just moving for the sake of moving. It's not just because, you know, I have to keep moving around. It's also because I kind of have a bad back. So sitting straight for long periods of time can be taxing unless I'm able to shift. So this last trip when we went to Quad State, I actually did about half the driving on the way back though. So I think I'm getting back to the point where I can kind of do a little bit more driving. So we'll probably take shifts in the next couple road trips. But the butler really likes driving. So I don't know. Let's do another heat. Oh, wait. You know what? I forgot to hit record on the other camera now. Goodness gracious. I am failing miserably on this whole recording part. It's alright though, we've only lost one heat. Alrighty. Losing heat because I'm having trouble deciding where I want to put that. So you can kind of see that there's a line right there. And when I initially saw this while it was cold, I was almost concerned that that was actually a crack. And you can see cracks develop at times in projects like this. However, in this case, it is not a crack. That is a line that was developed while we were tapering down the piece of steel under the press. So that line is the edge of the dies. You can see another line right here. And then as we've been forming it, it's kind of been disappearing a little bit. I'm usually the relief driver unless I have a really good talker with me. Yeah, I have a tendency to definitely need someone to talk to me while I'm driving, just to keep me from getting mesmerized by like all of the stuff on the sides of the road. Well, I guess the nothing on the sides of the road. I actually live in an area where there's a lot of like flat spaces and just fields. So for miles, it'll just be like corn and soybean fields. And so sometimes it's a little bit mesmerizing. You could have teamed up with Curie for Halloween. A headless butler following you around would be really spooky. That would have been really scary. Corn, corn, corn. Gas station, corn, corn creek. Yes, exactly. Although when we were going to Missouri, Missouri has a whole bunch of like rock formations and like hills and I'm not going to call them mountains, but they are like rocky hills. So the highway actually cuts through them. They're like, when they built the highway, they cut through these hills just so that it's really flat. So as you drive, you see these like rock faces on either side of you. So that can get really pretty. But there's still really long stretches of just cornfields. Chewing food, I find, does help with that. I think it's instinct that kicks in so we don't fall asleep and choke. I'll bet. Although, when I'm driving for like hours, I kind of, it's fine to have like snacks and stuff, but I feel like after hours, I just, I used to chew gum and my jaw would just get tired after a while, But gum is a good travel hack, when it keeps your brain doing something while you're driving, but and it also like will pop your ears in when you're in a plane. So yeah, it's not foolproof either, but it helps. Yeah, it does. I also really enjoy just having a liquid so that I can just be drinking like water or soda, something to keep my hands busy when I'm not, or when it's safe to do so. Obviously, do not drink alcohol and drive, but water, soda, juices, those work pretty well. So are those headphones or very well trained jaw muscles? They're Katamari Damacy, like the sides of my head, right? Ping posted a Katamari like emote earlier. Although I also feel like that's a really obscure video game. If you've never played Katamari Damacy, it's like you start with like a ball and this things stick to the ball and you just roll it around rooms and stuff, and the balls get bigger and bigger, and so do you, and the stuff that you can like get to stick to the ball. Eventually you get like houses and buildings to stick in, even though you're like starting with like a tiny mini thing and you get like paper clips and stuff. Yeah, back when I was moving rig, sour Skittles would keep me awake after 24-hour shift and driving back to the yard. Or opening a window on and off when it's freezing out is another trick. Man, I have long hair and I normally don't keep it up when I'm driving. So if I open the window, my hair is just everywhere and it's out of control and I can't deal with it. So I keep the air conditioner on when I want that cold air. It's a little bit more controlled than the window. That's what the hairpin is for. I mean, probably. I like a regular little black rubber hair tie, or I guess coated rubber hair tie. I buy them by the 100. I buy these like packs of goody black little hair ties, and every time I lose them, I just grab another one. Like I said, I buy them by the 100, and the butler also has long hair, so we share a pack. It usually lasts us about a year, but if I make myself a hairpin, I don't know. It depends on how heavy it is, because My hair itself is already pretty heavy, so I have to make it really light if I'm going to make one to wear at least. Yeah, but nothing takes the place of 10-degree weather with 75-mile-per-hour wind hitting you in the face. You're right. Nothing does come close to that. Getting close to being hot enough for another heat. Not quite ready yet, though. Let's see. I had something and then I lost it. I make mine somewhere around 3/16 to be lighter. So for Friday's stream, like the one that I'm going to be making, I'm probably like I'm almost positive I'm going to end up starting with my 1/4-inch stock, at least for the pin part. Now I'm considering using some of the stock that I bought for the nails to create the pin section, because that will reduce the weight of it. But I really want a really nice fat head on my pin, and because I have a couple things that I want to do with it that are a little bit more advanced, and I need a little bit more girth in order to make them happen. You can draw that down. I probably will. Always think of a friend of mine, rather the metal type, all dark, long, black coat and such, but a pink hair tie. See, I used to do that too, right? I have when the butler and I first met, I was wearing a long black leather trench coat. And yeah, I used to wear that thing all the time. I don't wear it anymore just because it got really worn because it was old. And, if you don't properly take care of your leather, it gets old and brittle and it starts cracking and stuff. And it wasn't the best leather or like quality to begin with. So, but yeah, I used to do that, and I would wear pink or, yellow or whatever shirts and just walk around. Mini Undertaker or Silent Bob style. It was like, it looked like a suit jacket, but long, So it wasn't like a full on, like, what do you call it? Highwayman duster or anything. It was more like just a suit jacket, but long and leather. Well, the other day went to town and the AC is out on the UTE. 90% humidity and my hair was wrapped around my face and stuck. Not possible to fall asleep in that situation. Definitely not. When you're sweating and your hair is just like everywhere, it just sticks, and I cannot stand that feeling. Ray out here being a death dealer. Well, I like I said, I haven't really worn that coat in like the last 6 or 7 years. I kind of retired it and got myself like a Carhartt. It's just a short, the brown jacket that I used to wear, or that I wore last winter. That's the jacket that I wear around now, because it's warm when I'm out here in the shop, and I just wanted to be able to forge out in the winter. While the leather jacket is warm if you layer it with like a hoodie or something like that, I just didn't want to have to trip over the long part of the coat while I was out in the shop. I don't know. Maybe I should have worn it, because then I wouldn't have had to wear the apron, right? I would have had a full-on leather, like, trench to keep my clothes clean. I love Carhartt for working around the house and such. Yeah, I do. I love Carhartt as well. They're a little on the expensive side, but they're definitely worth it. They last for so long. So we do have an ad in about a minute. So I'm going to wait until the ad is up before we do our next heat. I'll probably actually move the camera just so that we have a different view of things. Hopefully that's not in the frame. Does not look like it. Good. That's what I wanted to see. I've had a Carhartt and knockoffs, and I love them. Yeah. So I've had both Carhartt and like brand, and then I also have had knockoffs. Like there's a knockoff that's like Bear or something like that. I've had that before, and then I've had just like Levi's and things like that. But the design is always the same. I saw a Carhartt the other day on, I think it was as a thumbnail on YouTube as one of their little ads. It was like a video. They had like a mid-thigh jacket, and I was like really interested in that. I kind of, I don't know, like I love the part about the trench coat that I loved the most was that it kept my thighs nice and warm and toasty. Because I'm small and I don't have enough, you know, meat on my bones to keep me warm. So having that extra coat on my thighs is amazing. So I don't know. I might try and convince the butler that I need to get that jacket. Welcome in, Christy. I hope you're not trapped in ad purgatory. It's gonna be nice and hot. Hopefully we'll be able to get the little pointy ends on this taken care of pretty easily. This heat. New Zealand ads are short. Well, that's good. I always like I have the thing set to have or to play a minute and a half of ads, but not everybody gets the full minute and a half every single time. So I try to leave a minute and a half just because somebody probably has the minute and a half ads going. But like I said, not everybody has it, and it's really difficult for me to judge completely who's got what ads. It makes a nice like break for me too. Yeah, good plan. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna do another heat. Okay. We're gonna do this side. That hole is not wanting to come out of here. Whoa. But the axe is wanting to come off of the thing. Give me half a moment. I totally dropped my stuff. Where'd it go? It's right there. Oh. Oopsie. That's a little bit of the floor. Let's get that off of there. I let it sit on the floor a little bit too long. Get out of there. So I want to take this little half moon out of there, but it's not really happening. So I don't know. I think I might have to use like a file to get it out. I do also want to increase the size of that, so I'll probably use the drift and drift it further down. An ad break pop-up of your own one day. Yeah, great for you to pop out for an ad break. I was about to say, if you pick that diamond ring up with your hands, yeah, that would be super, super hot. How wide is the drift at the top? Which top? Like, are we talking up here or down here? Sentences hardly understandable out of context. There's floor on my axe. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, I dropped the axe on the floor and I left it there while I was trying to cool off the drift, and because the floor doesn't really burn, or it doesn't stay burning, I guess. So the second I pick it up, any flames or whatever like go out immediately. But sometimes like whatever layer of the top layer of the floor, or like dust or whatever is on the floor, kind of sticks to the axe. It's not, you know, damaging necessarily, but you know. By the handle. I mean, I did drop it like it's hot because it is hot. Okay, what was I gonna do? Oh, yeah. By the handle. I need to figure out what I did with my measuring tapey, whatever. I don't know what I did with it. My tape measure is missing. I don't know what yeah. Where did it go? Do you guys see my tape measure? Oh, I see my tape measure. I feel like when I say things like, do you guys see my tape measure? I feel like Dora the Explorer. Okay. At the widest point, we are at 2 1/4 inches. At the skinniest point, we are at 3/4 of an inch wide this direction. And then in this direction, we are 1/2 inch at the widest point and 1/4 inch at the thinnest point on the spine. And then the skinniest point, we're at 1/8 of an inch at the skinniest, and we are at 1/4 at the widest. Swiper, no swiping! Yes! Do you guys see my tape measure? But you guys have, like, I'll say I lost something, and you guys will be like, it's there. And I'm like, where? Where? You gotta help the streamer, right? Nice. With an axe that big, you might want to go almost all the way down with the drift. Yes, I am definitely planning, like I said, I stopped at the halfway mark, right? Because I wanted to make sure that I had enough, because at the end, I want it to be almost all the way here, right? So I stopped at the halfway mark, so then when I start messing with the sides of it, that if it grew, it wouldn't grow too much, right? It's all right if, because I'm gonna buy the handle, right? It is all right if I need to whittle down the handle, but if the hole is too big for the handle, then that does not work. Better to be too small than too big. You know, it's like the measure twice, cut once, right? A standard axe eye or a perfect eye is 2 1/4 inches to 2 1/2 inches from front to back. What did I say that was? 1 inch, so super, super small. I did actually get a comment on a video that featured this drift that said that this drift was too small and that it would only last 1 axe. Now, I haven't found that it's not going to last 1 axe, but I do think it's a little bit small for the eye of an axe. So I think that I have a long ways to go if Yankee is correct. So I don't know. Maybe I will have to cut some off of the handle or, you know, grind in it. I kind of just sort of eyeballed things. So when I made this, I told you guys that maybe I'd regret it later, but, you know, and maybe I will. Yeah, you want a lot of the handle to be in there. I made my drift similar to the Grand First Buck Small Forest Axe. So it's about 1 7/8 at the widest. I will probably want to go all the way up to the top of this. And I don't know. It should give me a good place to use a file and file it open more if I need to. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is what happens when I sort of play things by ear and fly by the seat of my pants, you know? I don't make things standard. I always tell myself that I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but then I always end up doing it anyway. The hole in this axe is a lot closer to those dimensions. Or will be a lot closer to those dimensions once it's finished. So today is actually a super, super warm out. It's in the 60s Fahrenheit. And so I actually have the garage door and I've got my cross strap going, and there's a chance that I'll probably turn on the fan later on. Ferguson, hello. Welcome to the stream. We are working on my axe head. We're trying to drift open the handle hole more. Right now it's really, really small. Are you planning on trying to weld that smaller axe again? Eventually, I will I do plan on welding the axe again. Because I want it to be a triumph. The first thing that I gotta do is I have to clean it. But I also, before I even clean it, I need to get a little bit more comfortable with forge welding. We did an entire day of forge welding and I only got 3 welds that actually took. So I want to get a little bit more comfortable with welding before I attempt it again. The small forest axe, like a 1.5 to 2 pound axe with a 19-inch long handle, so definitely smaller than yours. Yeah. I have a really big axe. A really big axe. But I wasn't planning on making an axe that big before. Like before, I was planning on using this guy. And this guy is not much bigger than 3 pounds. And I was planning on taking a big chunk out of this, off of it. So the axe only got bigger because I had to change what material I was using for it. So, you know, we ended up with a monster axe by accident. All right, let's do a little bit of drifting. I'm almost afraid to like hammer on the blade. There it goes. Put it in this way and work on that side. Next. Axe a dent, yes. Raise BFA for when you're not playing around with the tree, right? So what does BFA mean? Like, because I feel like there are a couple different, things that you could put in the F in that acronym. I'm going to assume that the B is big and the A is axe, but you could put at least two F words in there. Big effing axe. Skipping the persuasion and going to I wasn't asking. I mean, that's another one. It could be felling, Trees see that axe and just fall over. I don't know, And I mean, maybe it's just an axe-shaped object. It is definitely a lot bigger than I had originally envisioned for this axe. The Chuck Norris axe. I will actually be making a little bit smaller while I'm grinding it. So, I mean, there's that. But I don't think I'm getting away with pulling out any more material than like a 4-pound axe. Like we started with about 5.5 pounds. I don't think that it's realistic to go any lighter than 4 pounds at this point. Actually, yes. Ferguson, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good time. I know I am. We usually do have a good time around here. Actually is better. Actually. Lots of water today. Like I said, it's pretty warm, so I want to keep hydrated this time. There's a chance there, I'm starting to sweat already. I was super excited because it was getting colder, and then suddenly it decided it was going to warm up again. I mean, we are in November. It is supposed to be like in the 50s at the warmest in this geographic area this time of year. I don't know what's going on. I'm in bad and looking to your project. Yes. It's too warm here too. It is. It's so warm. We are supposed to get a bit of snow this weekend. I don't know that I'm, I don't know that I'm ready for snow, to be honest. Jay Venom, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, you don't want it either? Yeah, snow stinks. I think the worst part about snow is like shoveling, right? When you're a kid, you love snow because you can play in it, you can make forts and snowmen and like throw snowballs and things like that. And you don't have any responsibilities involved with the snow. But then when you grow up, then you gotta keep your sidewalk shovel so the mailman doesn't trip or slip. You gotta keep your driveway clear so that you can get your car out and get to work every day. That stinks. A literally steel tool, axe-ivorous, or a liverous. I mean, it is a literal steel tool. It's 4140. The worst part of snow early and late season is it melting and the muck it makes, right? I also hate at the beginning and the end of the year when there's like, when people will sell out of salt, right? In the beginning of the year, they just don't have it in yet. And then towards the end of the year, they've run out, right? So then you can't salt your drive anymore. And then you like that slush ends up turning into like ice and it stinks. If my son is still unemployed this winter, I won't have to do much shoveling if he wants money. See, my parents made me shovel the walk and then they never paid me for it. So eventually I just stopped doing it. I got a job and I was like, I got a job. I can't shovel for you anymore. Let's do another heat. If you broke up over chopping wood, your ex-husband. Right? My ex-husband. Alright, now we're going to flip it over this direction so that we'll go in this side. But yeah. Ooh, we've got a weird lip there. Probably just grind that straight though. That is actually from when we were trying to thin out that area and straighten out those little corners. Got some nice mushrooming happening on our drift. I don't think that it's too bad yet, but eventually I might just grind it off or heat it back up and hammer it back in. That's the beauty of being a blacksmith. If you mushroom out your tools, you get like that little mushroom tea at the end. You can just heat them up, hammer it back in, and it'll be functional again. I mean, you'll have to retemper it, but you know, if you're making tools, you're tempering things anyway, right? Are you making axe for forest or wood cutting in the yard? I'm making an axe so that I can hang it above the Ray's Smithy sign and, you know, it just sits there as a display piece. Or it has been suggested that I just need to keep it by my door. And then if anybody comes to the door, then I can just like have the axe in my hand when I answer the door and be like, hi, what, you know, how can I help you? But I have no, or like, it will probably see wood like for the video. When I edit the video, I'll probably take, you know, footage of me or of the butler, probably not me, chopping a bit of wood just to say that it has chopped wood. But yeah, it's gonna be a display piece. The French name for the city of Aachen is, or if Axel Chapel, axe pronounced like axe. There are sorts of puns there, or all sorts of puns there, like a hairdresser called a hair axe or an axe libris, the bookstore. Interesting. If there are any splits in the mushrooming, grind it off, don't forge it back in. Yeah, I wouldn't do that if there were any splits, because you'd have to forge weld it back together if it's big enough mushrooming that there are splits. You're right. I should have clarified that, you know, because you can't fix everything, or, you know, it's more difficult to fix everything. But Or, you know, if you catch it early enough before there are splits, you can fix it. Wouldn't you know, if you don't ax. All the puns. Keep them coming. Lots and lots of puns. All right, we're starting to slow down a little bit. That means that I'm probably going to have to change my propane tank relatively quickly here. Punception! Yes, a pun inside of a pun. I think I'm actually going to change the propane tank after this next heat, just so that I change it before it starts puffing, and I can keep my metal really hot. Axe body spray with that axe would be very messy. It would. What do you mean? I thought you fix everything with a hammer. I mean, some things you gotta fix with duct tape, right? It can be very confusing when crossing the border to Belgium near Aachen. You see signs for Aachen that Aachen is the same in Dutch. You can guess, but the Axla Chapel is still the same thing. You have to know, or something you have to know. Yeah. I'm really, really bad at pronouncing words in other languages. I have the worst English accent. Like, American English accent. Because, like, I definitely do not have an English accent. So we've got a ad coming in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to take a drink here. We're going to do one more heat, and then I will change the propane tanks. Hopefully I'm changing them during the ad because it's kind of a boring process. All right, let's do this. Whoa. I keep doing that. I keep hitting my thigh on the horn of the anvil. Oh, come on. Of course you would. La la la. There we go. And I'm going to put the axe back in the forge so that I don't forget to. Have a good night. You too. Thanks for joining us today. Alrighty. Let me take a look at this real fast. That side or that side? I think this side. All right, we've got an ad that's going to be starting in about a minute. So I'm going to start changing my propane tank. Am I opening it or closing it? Now I'm closing it. I don't know what it is about changing propane tanks, but my brain gets all topsy-turvy, and then I forget which direction the threads go. And it's really stupid. I mean, yes, the threads are backwards, but I mean, it's always the same, and you do this, I do this, like, you know, all the time, so I don't know why every time I try and change my propane tank, I just, like, automatically forget. It just, you know, ghosts out of my head. Alrighty. There we go. Very nice, very nice. Nice and hot. Hey Bluesy, welcome to the stream. You're probably stuck in ad purgatory though. Alright, let's put this tank away into the pile of empties. This one is very empty. Alrighty. I swear I had lunch earlier today, but I feel hungry. I don't know why I feel hungry. I had a peanut butter sandwich and potato chips. Cause I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to eat. So I just ate whatever was like the easiest thing. And it's always like, you know, peanut butter and chips. Second slowest is fine. See, you want to always make sure that you're not the slowest, you know? Second slowest is only fine until you are the slowest because the slowest already got eaten. Peanut butter sandwich and chips. So a healthy, balanced diet then. Hey, peanut butter is good protein. You know, you got your protein in the peanut butter, you got the grains in the bread, and then, you know, you've got some more potatoes. I mean, yes, potato chips aren't the healthiest, but I could definitely stand to eat some worse things than a peanut butter sandwich. Peanut butter sandwich is just that thing that is like, it's never bad, you know? It's like if I never, you know, I eat something for so long and then I just never want to eat it again. Well, peanut butter is that one thing that I can just eat over and over and over and I never get tired of it. Gotta eat more than that. I do. I mean, I eat breakfast and I eat dinner. I had Cheerios for breakfast, and for dinner, I think we're gonna get, I don't know what we're gonna get. We might get barbecue, we might get burgers, or we might get pizza. We haven't decided yet. But you need to remain the second slowest, even when the slowest drops out. Yeah. So yesterday, we had leftover roast. We made a roast I think it was Monday. We made a roast, like a big old beef roast. It was pretty big and it was really good. And so we had enough leftovers for a second meal. So that's what we had yesterday. We had butter noodles, like with butter and garlic and like chives and things like that, and the leftover roast, and then we also had garlic bread. So lots and lots of carbs. The real question is crunchy or smooth? That is the real question, right? What do you guys think? Maybe I should make a poll, crunchy or smooth, right? Then you guys can tell me which you guys like. It probably comes from either the Latin or the Germanic word for water. Aiken, the river. That makes sense. I read a book where Archeron was like the last name of the character, and it wasn't like, I mean, I guess she was an archer, but like she also lived near a river. Smooth because crunchy tears my bread. Then you're not using good bread. I like good bread, like the bread that I use. Typically, the crunchies, they don't like fall through the holes, but they also are bigger. Like the holes are kind of a little bit on the bigger side, right? It doesn't tear the bread too bad. I myself, I like crunchy, but the butler likes smooth. So we kind of compromise, and one day or one jar will be crunchy, and then the next jar will be smooth. River, Dutch for big natural stream. Yes, a river is a very big stream. There is no river, though. Neither is the name or in the town of Axon. It is probably named after the hot springs. Ooh, hot springs. I would love to go to a hot springs. They don't have any around here, so all we've got that's close to hot springs is just like hot tubs. You know, I live relatively near the fitness center, which is across the field that direction. So I could go and soak in a hot tub, but I think it would be a lot better to soak in the hot springs. The hot tub is full of like chlorine and cleaning chemicals, whereas a hot springs is like minerals and good things for your skin. Lukewarm springs. Something like that. Let's do another heat. I am going to change the camera view before I do it, though. As I get caught, goodness gracious. Caught. We're going to push this back this direction now. We're going to open the door a little bit further, and I'm going to focus the camera. And I'm going to try not to trip and fall. Springs are either icy cold or very hot. You can also dig for crystals there. Oh, the hot springs in Arkansas. The Romans sent their soldiers there to recreate. Ray has a door we have not seen before. I mean, you guys have seen my door before. That door always sits open as ventilation. So I don't get carbon monoxide poisoning. Gotta keep the oxygen flowing in here. Because that's just gonna keep on happening, guys. That's gonna keep on happening. Woo! Spicy. I think this side. We're going to start getting closer and closer to the end. So I think I'm going to need to use my glove here shortly. Evening, fuck. All spas were named after a town in Belgium that has hot springs and very healthy water. You can guess the name. Spa? Dear sir, I'm not sure how to take that. Either the camera moved or I am more unobservant than I thought. Which camera? I moved that camera. I move that camera frequently, like the close-up camera. So yeah, it did move. So it's been here, and it's been here now. So we've had 3 different angles today so far. It's just a big metal hand warmer. I mean, yeah. Oh, the side door is open is all. We can see it. Oh, okay, yeah. The side door is open because the camera is now in the doorway, and I have all my welding jackets on the door, and I didn't want the welding jacket to interfere with the camera. Yeah, I mean, if it was a big deal, then it would be like so too bad, so sad. I will punch in a little bit for the edit, but you guys are stuck seeing it. All right, we're out of this water. Well known for the F1 circuit, Spa, Francorchamps. That was probably a horrible butchering of that word. You need to build a rail for that camera. Just swing it around, semicircle on its track. We thought about that for a little bit, but I don't trust the beams that are like the ceiling. It's not like drywall on the ceiling. It's like Luan or some like really, really thin composite. And so I don't necessarily trust any of the beams except for the ones that the garage door hangs on. Drove by Spa often back when I lived in Aiken or Axkin. Action? Let's do another heat. I'll put on the globe because we're getting really close to we're moving up the drift. So we're getting a little bit hotter, closer to my hand, and I want to make sure that I don't burn myself more than I need to. It's like we're losing some scale off of this thing. Every single time. It's because I'm not paying attention to where I'm knocking it off. I need to pay more attention. All right, so I'm going to put that there. Now I'm going to take this. That can go there. That can go there. This side again. Let's get rid of some of the scale. So I need to pay more attention to where I have the drift when I knock the axe off of the drift because it's been falling on the floor and I need to stop doing that. Just forging your way ahead. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm forging my way ahead. Drop 4 jacks. Yes, it's a drop 4 jacks. Because I keep dropping it. Action is probably not easy to pronounce for a native English speaker as the sound doesn't even exist anymore in English. A few centuries ago, it seemingly did. Words were still written with GH, like daughter. Oh! Now I'm trying to envision, or like to figure out how it's actually pronounced, if the GH or the CH is like daughter. Aiken? Is that how it's pronounced? Aiken? You did say something about axe being in the word. Are links allowed here? They should be. Do you know the pronunciation of... Oh, no, they're not. I'm sorry. Is that a geese? Like a geese? Let me click the link. Let's see what it says. Interesting. The Wikipedia has a sound attached. I will have to actually listen to that after the stream, because right now our audio is plugged into the headphone jack in the laptop, so it won't play any sounds. I could take off my headphones and play it, but I still wouldn't be able to hear it. So it is now up on a secondary tab, and I will listen to it after the stream. There is a blown H after the G. Yeah, because I only have one headphone jack in that laptop, so it makes it difficult for me to be able to hear things. Because I don't have the Bluetooth set up, it doesn't go directly into my headphones, which is also why I don't have notifications set up. Or text to talk, or whatever that is, what that's called, TTS, text to chat. I do my best. But yeah, I'll definitely listen to it after the stream is over, because when I start putting away all of the mics and stuff like that, I take it out of the side, and then I'll like listen a little bit to whoever we've rated off to. I'll listen to it then. All right, I'm gonna do another heat. It'll probably be, it's like forcing air through the back of your mouth. So like hacking up a loogie, okay. Something like that, I don't know. Oh, I tried to put that in backwards. That does not help me at all. And then I need this guy so that I can... There it goes. Yay! It didn't fall this time. I'm so proud of myself. Ah, dang it. Ooh, this water is cold. Not too terribly cold, but cold enough that it's uncomfortable on my hand. I need to use this hand to touch that. Uh-oh. I fat-fingered. Apologies, guys. My hand is all soaking wet. Need to dry it off with the paper towel in a second. We're gonna go this side now. Pretty much, like a sneeze even maybe. Plus that sound plus ain. Ain. I'm proud of myself. Dang it, right? I'm proud of myself for not dropping the axe on the floor. And then, you know what I did? I dropped the drift all the way into the quench bucket. So I had to, like, reach my hand all the way into the bottom. Interesting combination, right? All right, now we're dry. Oh, that's like the Midwest oops. We don't say oops here, we say ope. And I don't know. That's as good as you're getting out of me, I think, today. You got the right, but the N is just like an. An. I'm trying, I promise. An. That's a hard combination of syllables for me to get. No stop in between. A hand. How's that? Better? A hand. I'm just gonna start calling it a chew. And the stress is on the first syllable. Achen. No, in the beginning. Alright. I give up. I'm sorry. Yes, very close. Okay, cool. I love it. I love it. That's Robin Hood's friend, Achoo. See, I would never know if I was close or not. You know, I don't get to hear you guys speak to me. If I could hear you guys speaking to me, you know, it would be easier. And not from text to chat, you know, because I need you guys' pronunciation. I'm going to move the camera again, just so that we get some more views. We're going to move it across this direction. Because reasons. Just because I find it entertaining when I'm editing and at the end of the stream. You know, I do. I find it very entertaining to change the angle all the time. Okay, I think we're... Wait, hang on. Entertainment. This is all the entertainment I get sometimes, is, you know, just changing the angles when I'm editing. You could always stream while in Discord voice chat channel. I mean, that's true. That is true. But I would, like I said, I don't have any way to hear my laptop unless I Bluetooth it to my headphones. So these guys aren't Bluetooth capable. I do have a set of Bluetooth capable ones, but they're kind of old and they don't fit very well anymore. So you can pronounce several German words better than most Americans now, like the mentioned Doctor. Daughter. Closer. All right. The CH is the same sound again. Doctor. I feel like it's like a different sort of sound. Yes, pretty good. Cool. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should. I've been thinking about learning another language or like relearning Spanish, and I don't know. Maybe I should go German instead or Dutch. Are those close? I bet you they're not. Talkter. Most Americans would say talkter. Yeah. They are close. Okay. Because, like, there are several countries in that area, the Germanic and, like, Netherlandy area. I'm going to say Netherlandy area, even though I know it's not just Netherlands, because, I mean, it's like, you know, the Netherlands and, the Dutch area and things like that. I'm sorry. Yeah. But there are a lot of those areas that I would love to come and visit. All right, we are about to start an ad in about 2.5 minutes, so I think I'm going to try and get another heat in before that. I think that's great. Some say Dutch is like a dialect of German. That's not true. It's a different language, and knowing one, you do not automatically understand the other, but they are closely related. So like the Romance languages. So if you know French, it makes it easier to learn Italian, but you don't automatically learn Italian. Or know Italian, I mean. Haha! This side next. Technically, Flanders has been around for a lot longer than Lage-Landen. Yes, something like that. They have the same origin, correct, but they came from diets, which to some is Old Deutsch, and to others it's Old Flemish. I can speak Spanish, and when I was in Italy, I could basically understand Italian, but they couldn't understand me in Spanish. Way too wonky. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Finally, good content. I try. I'm Ram, a blacksmith. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2:30 Eastern United States time. I guess it's Eastern time. Like, it's both the United States and it's also, like, you know, some of South America, you know, it's just that time zone. But I say United States time because, you know, I respect that not everybody lives, or, you know. I don't know. I can speak Russian perfectly. I drink enough vodka, or if I drink enough vodka. I do find that it's a lot easier for newer speakers or like not native speakers to understand than to produce like the language to speak. So I can understand Spanish a lot easier than I can speak it. Blacksmithing has to be the best use of free will. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I mean, it's a great use of free will. So we are currently in an ad break. So I will continue talking about important things after the ad. So we're getting really close to the top of this drift. I guess that's an important thing. I will save that for after the ad. Fancy schmancy. I don't know what's going on. Half the time, I really don't, guys. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to breathe, you know, for this ad. That's kind of why I'm a little quiet, just so that I can, like, breathe. I always say Romanian is Italian with a Russian accent. But Romanians don't quite approve of that. I mean, there's a lot of languages that have very similar roots, you know? But I honestly feel like the Romance languages and the Germanic languages kind of, like, they do have different roots, but, like, they have, like, their own little trees, right? And then those are the Western languages. And then there are Eastern languages that a lot of those roots are, like, from Chinese. And then there are the Native American languages and the Native South American and the Native African languages. And I feel like each of those have their own common roots. Romanian is actually related to Italian, but my view is maybe a bit simplified. I mean, my mother visited Romania when she was a little bit younger than I was, and she said that there was a lot of cultural similarities between some parts of Romania and some parts of Italy. But I wouldn't be able to confirm that. Your view is maybe a bit simplified. I mean, you know, you can only know what you know, right? All right, let's do another heat. Oh, that's backwards. It goes this direction, guys. That direction. I need to put this glove on before I, you know, take the steel out of the heat. We're getting better and better. Got a nice hole going there. Looks like we need to do this side and again, because this side looks a little bit deeper than that side. Romanian here. I don't know what you're talking about, my dude. It's good to have native perspectives. That way we're not just making assumptions. This is so cool. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Dino Helm, thank you so much for that subscription, for that Prime sub. Thank you so, so much. Welcome to the community. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I guess that would be like, you know, U.S. and this side of the pond. See, we do not quite approve. I mean, you know, I would love to hear native opinions on things. You know, I don't want to just take people's word for it. You know, like I want to know firsthand. The drift seems to be working pretty well for the most part. Like I said, it is a little bit thin. So the hole that we're generating is like short, but I think it's a little bit fatter in certain areas. We have less of a taper between the spine and the point of the teardrop shape. So right now we are currently making an axe head. So we're drifting in the hole for the handle, and a axe hole is a teardrop shape, right? So I started with a teardrop shaped drift in order to cut that hole in there. Well, when it gets closer to the back end of it, closer to where I'm hammering it, it gets more oval shaped and less of a teardrop. So I'm hoping that by hammering it without the drift in it, it might close that up just a hair and lengthen it a little bit. But how close is it really? Can you understand Italian? Well, like I said, I don't know that if you're speaking Spanish, that necessarily other Romance languages would be able to understand you if they don't know Spanish as well. But maybe. So right now the drift itself is tapered. So I have been using the drift on opposite sides so that we are expanding the outside edges of the hole, and the interior of the hole is kind of a little bit closer. It's a little bit smaller, so I've got an hourglass hole, and that's gonna help keep that handle inside of the hole, and it's gonna cause a lot less stress as you're using this axe. This axe itself isn't going to see much use. It's going to be a wall hanger, I think, because it's definitely not a standard size. All right, I'm going to do another heat. You know what? I'm going to preemptively grab a glove, you know? Because I've been wasting heat putting my glove on. All right. We have pretty much reached the end of where the drift is useful. So that's really exciting. Whoops, I dropped it in the quench bucket again. Dang it. It's a good exercise axe if you put a guard on the blade. Yeah. All right, so I'm taking a look at both sides of this hole. I think we're doing pretty well. I think I'm happy with that. We've got a little bit of a dent right there that I'm not thrilled with. So I'm going to probably take a look and try and drive some of this material that direction. It probably isn't going to work the way I want it to, though. But we are, for the most part, exactly where I want it to be. Oh, I already did that. Well, Romanian is a Latin language with Slavic influences, so there are some Italian and Spanish words which are very close together. As a Romanian, I don't understand Italian nor Spanish, but it is easier to learn both of them. They always told me that English was also a Romance language, but there's so much borrowing from like Germanic languages and other languages that I don't necessarily know that's completely true. I feel like English is an incredibly difficult language to learn too, because there are so many words and things that like break the rules and conventions. Like ordinarily, English is not a Romance language. English is Germanic. See, like I said, they always told me in high school that it was a Romance language and that it should be easy to learn Spanish. And I went into Spanish and I was like, this is completely and totally different. We don't have conjugations like this. You know, I took Latin and, you know, it was like learning a completely different, you know, system of producing words, you know? Then you add in English slang from various generations. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it gets, and it piles on. And then we have this habit of using idioms, which is like, you know, random sayings and stuff, you know? It's like, don't put the cart before the horse, and, you know, you can't you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. And there's just like, when you think about those literally, it's like, what? But they actually have separate meanings from the words, you know? So it makes it difficult to learn English. So when I was a kid, I learned about this language called, what is it called? Well, it was what is that language called? I'm just going to describe what it is. It's a language that is a Romance language that combines French and Italian. It's like, and they made it up in like the 70s because they wanted a universal language. Chat is Riz bussin' on fleek skibbity. That is way too young for my blood. I am an old. Esperanto, yes, that's the language I was looking for. English is probably every language to speak well, like not making mistakes, choosing the right words, etc., but just somehow speak it. English is comparatively easy, I would say. Is it? I also feel like coming at, or like from the perspective of being an English speaker, I feel like learning Chinese or Japanese would be incredibly difficult. But yeah, Esperanto. I feel like that is a easier language for most people to learn. The grammar is very easy compared to German. Is it? I think I missed Velis1's follow. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. I blacksmith, and then we discuss random topics oftentimes here on the stream. Today's topic seems to be language. This is the topic that my sister would be all over. My sister is a English is one of the hardest languages I've heard. I feel like that's something that like most English speakers would think too. In Romanian, cum means how, not even making it up. Also, FACEU means I'll do it. I go, you go, he goes. Only out of order. Yeah, we don't have. I mean, we do have conjugations, but like they're not. It's not like I feel like it's different because in Romance languages you have the conjugated the, so like L or li, but and then you have like you add a suffix to the end of the word to kind of modify the word, but we don't do that here. It's like we have I, he, we, she, they, but we don't add any suffixes to the end of our words, you know? So it's different. Tirai, thank you so much for that follow. I apologize if I butchered that name. I'm pretty sure I did, but thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Also in other Germanic languages like German. But yeah, it's just like when English conjugates a word, yeah, it's just the root word over and over. Oh, wow. We have reached our follower goal. Thank you, guys. 400 followers. That is so many followers. Like, I just started streaming last year. 400 is a great number. We're just shy of streaming for a year. I think next week is when, is our 1 year anniversary for starting streaming. So thank you guys so much for all of your support, all of your views and subs and gifts. Thank you so much for that. I am so grateful for you guys. It is you guys that make me want to come out and do this every other day, you know? Thank you so much. Idioms are probably difficult to learn in any foreign language. I bet they are. Just found out about your channel. I just got tired of news and everything bad going on. It's as if nothing good happens anymore. This feels like a breath of fresh air. Yes, I try so hard to keep it that way. That is why we do not allow politics. We do not allow religion in chat, because this is supposed to be a sanctuary. There is crazy happening all over the place, everywhere. And I want you guys to be able to just let your hair down and relax, you know? Everyone is welcome here, and everybody is encouraged to just forget about the outside world for just, 2.5 hours, you know? Everybody deserves that. So thank you guys so much for helping me build that. I feel good as a crazy here. I mean, we are all a little bit crazy, right? I mean, you gotta be in order to like set a fire that is this hot. I don't have any hair to let down. Well, your proverbial hair. Also, just because you don't have head hair does not mean you don't have like other hair. Like, I mean, there's arm hair and leg hair and back hair, right? All right, let's do another heat. You know what? I totally forgot what I was doing. All right, so I am lightly tapping the side here. We do not have our drift in here to kind of hold it out or hold it, prevent it from collapsing. So we got to be really careful here. Precision is key. But I'm trying to kind of close the tip a little. So it's a little bit wide at that end, wider than I want it to be. So if I close it a little bit, we might be able to fix that. All right. So I will also want to fix this area right here. There's a little indent divot. So we might actually just put one on the opposite side as well. It's going to be a lot easier to put a divot in than to take one out at this point. I missed some significant amount of chat, so let me take a look real fast. Corwin, I know you've had things that would grow hair on your chest before. Yes, chest hair is another hair that, you know, you don't have to have hair on your head to have. There's also beard hairs. Man, when I first started blacksmithing, there was a couple people who would oftentimes give me a hard time because I'm a female blacksmith, and so therefore I cannot have the traditional blacksmith beard. And I'm just like, why would you want to grow a beard, like a ginormous beard, as a blacksmith? Wouldn't you constantly be smelling burning hair, right? And they were like, why are you getting close enough to singe your beard hair? And I was like, I guess I'm really not, you know. So I don't know. I don't have a beard. Maybe that makes me a lackluster blacksmith, but you know, it's not my fault I can't grow a beard. You know what I just forgot? I don't have, or I dropped my drift in the quench bucket. So let's grab that out again. Yep, that's why I'm not a blacksmith. I can't grow a beard. That is all right. It's all right if you can't grow a beard. Not everybody can, you know? My billies all have beards. I think I would be very disappointed if I saw a billy goat that did not have a beard. I won't lie. That's one of those things that I always imagine when it comes to goats is the beard, you know? Wait 20 years, then maybe you can. If I'm waiting 20 years, then that means that'd make me almost 60 years old. I don't know. Maybe I could have a beard, maybe not. I once showed up to a gathering with a huge glue-on Viking beard. Did not fool anyone. I told my mom the other day, my mom is very into crochet, and I told my mom that she should crochet me a beard, right? Evening, Jack. Hello. But yeah, I told my mom she should crochet me like a Viking beard and that I could wear for the flannel campaign. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come home this winter for, you know, the holidays, and maybe she'll have a nice Viking beard for me. If she makes one, just because she was too late for the plaid campaign does not mean that I'm not going to show up one day with a giant yarn beard. And that'll be my faux beard, right? Ray the bearded one. Yes. I'm going to be Ray the bearded lady. What y'all think? I think I could make a nice bearded lady. Is blacksmithing hard to get into? It depends. Okay, so it depends on what you mean by hard to get into. Like, it's really easy to get into as far as like tooling and stuff. You can get in very, very cheap. All you really need is something to heat your steel, something to beat with, and something to beat on. In a blacksmithing sense. Yeah. I got into blacksmithing for about $80, right? I built a forge. Somebody gave me an anvil, and then I inherited a hammer. So most of my money was spent on buying the burner, right? However, there's also like, you know, I've spent several $1,000s on other tools that I've gotten into blacksmithing. But there's also, you have to be brave enough to burn yourself and to cut yourself. I also always recommend that, you know, you find a blacksmith to learn from. There are so many blacksmiths across the country that you can learn from. And if you don't know where to start looking for a blacksmith, you can check out the Abana website, ABANA. Is it .org or .com? I can't remember. Anyway, they have a find a blacksmith or find an affiliate link, and you can type in your zip code, and it's not just the United States. There's Australia, there's Canada, there is Europe as well. So yeah. Is welding the same thing to some degree? Kinda not really. I can discuss a little bit more about that after that ad is over. It's a little bit of a longer topic, I feel like. I missed one. What's your story about wanting to become a blacksmith? I think you're brilliant. Awesome. I can talk about that also. Europe is not a country. The other ones are. You're right, Bluesy. You're right. Europe is a continent, but so is Australia. Australia is a continent and a country. So yeah, once the ad is over, we got an ad coming in about a minute. I'll talk a little bit about, a little bit about welding and a little bit about my background. The EU might as well be at this point. I don't live in the EU. I have no comment on that one. No, the continent is Oceania. Is it? I thought it was Australia. I was taught Australia in school, but I mean, like I said, I'm from the United States. That's where I learned my geography from. So I might be a little bit lacking. We are very centric when it comes to geography and some histories as well. But I love learning. My headphones are starting to like really squeeze my head. Boo, learning. Psh, get out of here. Yay, repeating mistakes. I mean, everybody repeats some mistakes, but I try to learn. I try very hard to learn. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious. All right, so we've got an ad right now. And so once that ad's over, I have 2 topics. My first topic is welding. Or is my first topic? I don't know. I haven't decided what order we're gonna go in, but one of the topics is my background, and the other is welding. No, there are some islands as part of the oceanic continent that are not Australia. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I imagine that would be like New Zealand. New Zealand is a pretty big island. I could possibly make a football joke depending on your team. I will be right back, guys. I just finished my water. I'm going to grab a Gatorade real fast. I'm sweating. I got to keep hydrated. It is disgustingly warm for being in November. All right. We is back. Woohoo! I beat the ad break. All right, so we are back. Welding. So there are 2 types of welding in my experience, right? There's machine welding, which is MIG, TIG, stick, and oxygen acetylene welding, more like kind of like brazing. That is very different than blacksmithing, but there is a type of welding that you can do as a blacksmith. It's basically heating up material so hot and keeping it very clean so you can actually affix it in the forge. It's called forge welding, or I guess not in the forge, it's on the anvil. But it's very similar to the fact that in space, in the vacuum of space, if you've got 2 clean pieces of metal and they touch, they'll fuse together. It's a similar process, not quite the same, but similar. All right, I'm going to do another heat, and then I'll talk about my background a little bit. And if you want more information about welding and any similarities, you can ask more specific questions. That's kind of more of a general impression that I have of what you meant. All right, let's take a look at what we've got as far as where we've moved. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit more, a little bit closer to even. You might be able to see it if I were to move my hand a little bit, but yeah, we're a little bit closer. Well, I'll probably do a couple more heats on this, and then we'll move on to figuring out another project for the day, unless we're too close to the end of the stream. Oh, wow. If I lose your comment, we're starting to get a little bit heavy on comments, and oftentimes I will lose a few. If I've lost your comment, feel free to repost it, and I will get to it when I see it. Cold welding, pressure welding, also welding, Ray, not just welding in any way you are talking about. Yeah, there are other types of welding that I didn't mention. Um, Bluesy is right. Friction welding, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different types of welding, and it's like there are entire scientific disciplines. You know, I admit my definition of welding is very limited. But I need more specific, like, I can answer more questions about it. I just need more specific, like, directions, I think. So a little bit about my background. I started in sculpture. I started in clay, and I loved clay, and so I really wanted to do more sculpture. I went and I took a sculpture class, and they taught me to weld. I absolutely loved welding and bending stock coal, like steel, like bars, and I realized that I can move them more efficiently with a fire. And I had an ex-boyfriend who was really into blacksmithing. So he's like, if you want heat and you want blacksmithing, let me help you. And so that is how I got involved in that. I also am a journeyman jeweler. So I used to work for Signet, which is a conglomerate that owns Jared K Jewelers and Zales in the United States. They also own a few jewelry stores in Europe. But yeah, I do silversmithing, I do blacksmithing, I do a little bit of jewelry goldsmithing. Blacksmithing is probably the thing that I am the least familiar with, but it is the thing that I started with because I have the most equipment for it. Because I was given a lot of it. I also do casting, but I haven't done casting in a really long time because it takes a lot of people, a lot of manpower to do the larger scale casting that I used to do. Although I have done small scale casting. I have cast everything from aluminum, bronze, no, I haven't done copper, but I have done brass, I've done sterling silver, I've done iron. So that's a little bit about my background. I hope that's, I started actually blacksmithing about 15 years ago. I did take a 4-year break. Starting in 2020 because I got sick. You can imagine what it was that I got sick with. It took me about 4 years to get to the point where I could come back out here. So I've been back out here for about a year. So, yay! I'm super excited. When I first started a year ago, I could only be out here for about an hour, and now I'm fine being out here for 3-4 hours. But I do I get tired sometimes when I have overdone things. So if I end stream early, sometimes that's why. If I've had a trying day the previous day, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. I hope that answers you guys' questions. I'm not a scientist at all. I'm just a stupid farmer. You're not a stupid farmer. You're incredibly intelligent. I've been known to cast myself, usually fishing lines. Right? Fishing, casting. I've been known to cast short films, casting. Many types of casting. But yeah, I'm pretty open with my background and stuff. If there's anything specific that you'd like to learn, feel free to ask me. I do always reserve the right to refuse to answer a question or refuse a request. But, I feel like that's fair, right? Whew. We are at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Goodness gracious. We've been going for a while. I think I'm going to do 2, maybe 3 more heats. Like I said, I really want to kind of take that back end and smooth it off a little bit. There's a few divots I want to take out. Fits right in with the puns. I love puns. Most people here know that about me. I absolutely love dad jokes and puns, as long as they're safe for work. We have a lot of people who watch while they're at work, and then I want to be safe for kids to watch, you know, in the future. I do take all of my VODs and I post them on YouTube, and then I make edits of them, or like of all of our projects, and I post those on Wednesdays. So yeah, my YouTube channel is linked on the channel page. We're gonna do another heat, and then I'm gonna decide if it is my second or third to last heat. Did I put this in backwards? No. I put it in front ways. I think. Yes, I did. All right, so I'm gonna need at least 1 more heat, I think, for the opposite direction. I think I'll probably do 2 more heats after this. All right, guys, I think we're gonna do 2 more heats. All right. Raw. So I'm trying to clean up that opening where the handle goes. We've got some crazy corners here from a pilot hole that I drilled earlier. I think I'm going to have to actually sit there and grind it with or I guess file it, not grind it. But yeah, I think it'll be all right. We're going to flip this and put it in just like so, heat that side up, and we're going to work on this side. Hoping someone raids during the second to the last heat. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, just 3 more heats. I know. It's gonna be all like 1 more heat, 1 more heat, 1 more heat. I know it, I know. At least that's what you guys think. That's what you guys want. I do actually have a few things that I gotta do today. Or that I still gotta get done today. I can move my arm again. So I may be able to forge some this winter. Ooh, yay! That's so exciting. Was it a burn, or was it more like a tendon issue kind of thing? I know that I have a lot of issues with burning myself. Most of them aren't too bad, but I know that sometimes things happen, you know? I crashed and messed up my shoulder. Ooh, yeah, that would make it very difficult to forge, you know? Especially if it's like, you know, a rotator cuff or like a, you know, a tendon muscle kind of injury. Those stink. So I haven't been able to lift for a few months. Well, I'm glad that you're starting to be able to move your arm again. Gotta be careful not to upset it by, you know, forging too early though, you know? a measured approach. Well, I mean, I had to do a measured approach when I came back out to the shop last year, you know. If I were to have forged for as long as I wanted to, I would not have been able to function for like a whole week. So I'm glad I started slow and I built my way up, you know, and we're doing very well. So you should do the same. Yay, wild, unpredictable outcomes. Don't upset your shoulder by upsetting. Puns. All the puns. Give them to me. More. Some of you guys were telling me that I was a dragon, you know, because I hoard metal, but I think I hoard puns and like puns and dad jokes. Yeah, that's what I gather. What's the tool called between your hammer and pliers? This one? This is called a drift. So this is it's called an axe drift. And so basically this is a tool that I use to cut in the hole for the handle on the axe that I'm making, right? So, you know, you got your hammer and you got to be able to fit the handle inside the hammer so that you cut in a hole, right? So, so this is for an axe, specially made. So an axe eye hole is a teardrop shape as opposed to a hammer eye hole, which is an oval shape. So when I made this tool, I made the profile a teardrop. This is a little on the warm side, so I'm going to cool it off again. But yeah, that's what it's called. And then this is a set of tongs. These are a weird set of tongs. I originally made them and designed them to be able to pick up 5/8 inch cubes of steel because I wanted to turn those into RPG dice. But these tongs did not turn out the way I wanted them to. They didn't close all the way together. So I've got a nice gap. So they don't work for the way I wanted. They do look like hoof nippers, right? I did a really bad job, you know? It was the first project I did when I came back into the shop last year. So, you know, these. And yeah, so they don't work right for what they were designed for. Oh, no, I wasn't saying that. But they are working very well for this axe. Is there a reason the different hole shapes, or just because it was always like that? Catch you next stream. I gotta head out to the workshop and get some stuff done. All right, have fun, Lexi. We're just about ready to be done ourselves, so. I just assumed they were converted nippers because of the shape. No, I made them myself because, you know, they're interesting. I've never used them except for today. But they've been working pretty well for this particular axe. So I don't know. I might take a grinder or a, you know, a cutting disc to them and see if I can't shape them into something a little bit more useful. But yeah. All right, let's do another heat. What am I trying to do? Oh yeah. Even out the edge. That's what I'm trying to do. Oh. Yay for allowing it to flip itself up. This project has been very, very burny. All right, it looks like we're getting a relatively even edge, so that's making me very happy. All right. So if I take a look at that from this angle, and you can take a look at it with me. Now we'll flip it over. Not too bad. I think we are now at a place where we can grind it into its final shape, so I'm pretty happy with that. One more heat just for good measure. Back in the fire. Alrighty. I really, really want to gloat to you, Corbin, because that was my second and last heat. But I'm also not convinced that someone's not going to show up just as we're rating off. Because, you know, that kind of stuff happens as well. So the plan is one more heat just to kind of, I don't know, finesse it just a hair bit more. So we are finished with our axe project. I've got a lot of grinding to do. I also have some tempering to do. And then I also need to handle this axe head. That will happen probably off stream. I'll do that in my free time. Probably show some of it when I do the video on YouTube. But Friday's project is going to be a hairpin, so I'm really looking forward to that. A lot of people have been doing hairpins recently. I keep seeing them come across my For You page on YouTube, TikTok, and on Facebook. So I want to do my attempt at it, my design. So that's what we're going to do on Friday. Hopefully we'll be finished with that so that we can start our raising stake on Monday. A raising stake is kind of an anvil sort of object for making vessels out of flat sheet metal. And if you are interested in seeing what those look like, I posted a picture on my Discord of the design that I'm going for in the suggested projects tab. And the link to my Discord is on the channel, or in the comment section if you are watching on YouTube. Little bit longer, make sure that we get a nice hot last heat. I want to kind of flatten everything out, make sure it's nice and pretty and not lumpy and bumpy. The whole stream has been attempting to reduce the amount of grinding that I have to do on this thing. I absolutely hate grinding pieces, which is why I don't do a lot of knives and sharps in the first place. But so I've taken a lot of grinding off of my plate already today. So thank you for joining me with that, or for that. If you guys have a suggestion for who we raid, please let me know. There is a channel point redeem if you want to definitively state we are going to raid this person. But overall, I mean, if you've got a suggestion, I'll take it. And otherwise, we'll find somebody, one of our friends, maybe a new friend. Ever done hot rasping? I have done hot rasping before. It works pretty darn well, but I don't have a sharp one right now. I have a few dull ones laying around places, but they're also kind of missing. So, I mean, maybe I'll do one later, but I don't have the ability to do that right now on stream. Okay, last heat. At least not on stream today. Because of course it would fall off. Alrighty, guys. I think that's all she wrote for the day. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have had a blast forging for you. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys also have a nice day. I might have to send you a Farrier's rasp. Really glad I found your channel tonight. I've really enjoyed it. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I haven't changed my outro yet. I owe some of you some credits. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Great progress on the axe. Thank you so much, Jack. We'll see you later. All right. Now we got to decide who we're rating today. Looks like we are gonna learn. We are gonna find someone new. Meet a new friend. Let's see. Oh, look, we've got Mr. Boombody. Let's raid Mr. Boombody. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will see you again on Friday at 2:30 Eastern. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a great tomorrow. Bye.